Hi. In Lewis's essay, Fern-seed and Elephants, he has been describing himself as a sheep speaking to shepherds or complaining to shepherds. And so his second bleat, as he described it, is regarding his suspicion of radical New Testament criticism, something that he recognizes as a problem from his own experience in the study of ancient literature. So I wanted to read this little piece, his second bleat. All theology of the liberal type involves at some point, and often involves throughout, the claim that the real behavior and purpose and teaching of Christ came very rapidly to be misunderstood and misrepresented by his followers, and has been recovered or exhumed only by modern scholars. Now, long before I became interested in theology, I had met this kind of theory elsewhere. Then he goes on, in my own professional studies, every week a clever undergraduate, every quarter a dull American dawn, discovered for the first time what some Shakespearean play really meant. But in this third instance, I am a privileged person. The revolution in thought and sentiment which has occurred in my own lifetime is so great that I belong mentally to Shakespeare's world far more than to that of these recent interpreters. Most of their interpretations are merely impossible. They involve a way of looking at things which was not known in 1914, much less in the Jacobean period. This daily confirms my suspicion of the same approach to Plato or the New Testament. The idea that any man or writer should be opaque to those who lived in the same culture, spoke the same language, shared the same habitual imagery and unconscious assumptions, and yet be transparent to those who have none of these advantages, is, in my opinion, preposterous. So his is a very cautious approach, I would say, and that prevented him from being too trusting or too easily swayed by claims of others to know or to have uncovered the real meaning behind the text. This guided me, Lewis's experience, to be cautious, not too easily or quickly convinced by dogmatic presentations. It also made me aware of my own limitations. How far one can be off the mark if they don't have inside information, if you like, know that period of time. So you need to check your sources, and you need to check their expertise, their qualifications, when they make claims of understanding. I learned to acknowledge that others may know things that I do not know. I do not mean that they can read between the lines, but have the knowledge of ancient literature, ancient language, ancient culture of that particular period of time that they're discussing. We witnesses were not trained or prone to listen to others. We either accepted the Watchtower's narrative, oftentimes only because we became convinced, because we were hearing the Watchtower arguments, and only the Watchtower arguments, their side of it, repeatedly for years or even decades. With cherry-picked scriptures or texts, Bible texts, as the backup for their position. When what I discovered was that I needed to learn the art or skill of communication. and of dialogue. It requires listening as well as speaking. Why was it that we had so little regard for those outside the organization, did not think that they had carefully considered convictions for their point of view? I'm going to link to 2 videos, the first one being Biblical Criticism, Lower and Higher, Do We Need Them? And What is the Highest Criticism? This is David taking a reading from Griffith Thomas in Strongholds of Truth, that book. The second is, Can We Trust the New Testament Witness About Jesus? How reliable was Jewish memory and oral teaching?